Hello, I'm Linda Davis, and I've been teaching elementary music for 25 years in both public and private schools. In this video series, I'm going to help you help your child get a great music education. In this video, I'd like to explain what the most important elements of music are, as well as go over some technical vocabulary and concepts. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to sequence those concepts. And in the last video, I'm going to share a powerful secret teaching process that brings it all home. Throughout my career, I have always strived to have highly sequenced lesson plans. And every year, my number one summer goal was to create those perfectly sequenced lesson plans. And every year I failed. Now, there's always life and things get busy, but the number two reasons why I failed is, the first one's a lesser one. We moved every 3 years with my husband's job relocation, so it's very difficult to establish a solid music program moving that often. But the most important reason, number two, was I did not have the proper training. Now, I went to almost every workshop that was offered. The second time we moved to Vegas, I got my master's degree in music education with Schulwerk emphasis, which is a buzzword in the music teaching world. And I actually stayed at a school for 5 years. In fact, I came back to it after a private school teaching stint. And I just still didn't feel like I had it together until I moved to Texas. And in Texas, I took my Kodály training. Now, that was 3 summers of 3 weeks of intense training every summer and many tears. It was so hard. I had never been stretched musically anywhere like that. But I finally received my coveted national certification. I was valuing that more than my other degrees. And I want to share with you what I've learned along this long journey. Because let's face it, music education is so important. In fact, I have a PDF on why music is important, and I'll link it down below. But in a nutshell, the National Association for Music Education states that the following skills will develop through learning music that will help your child in years to come. Musical training helps develop language and reasoning, helps students to improve their work, gives a sense of achievement, increases success in society, enables emotional development, helps with pattern recognition, helps fine-tune auditory skills, develops creative thinking, and helps students gain better self-confidence. But the music curriculum has to be taught in a sequenced way. Before I came to Texas and got my Kodály training, I had those 2 degrees and all those workshops and experience, but I still felt like I was doing a little bit of a buffet curriculum. Oh, I was pretty good at teaching beat and rhythm, and I probably did hand signs more than most, but there was like, oh, wait, we got to add the instruments. Or, oh, wait, there's a holiday coming. If I don't teach you these songs, you're not going to be able to sing them this year. And if I felt that way, I can imagine that you, as a homeschooling parent, might somewhat feel that way too. Let's face it, music has its own language. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow quotes, "Music is the universal language of mankind." But to really learn it, there's a lot of language that can be quite confusing, and it doesn't help that they throw Italian in. There's beat, rhythm, melody, harmony, form, expression, and that includes dynamics, tempos or tempi, and timbre, and then there's note reading. So how would you know how to teach your child music? And where would you even start? During COVID, I created video lessons on YouTube for my online students, and that's how the homeschooling community found me. My first grade lesson 1 has almost 24,000 views. That's a lot of folks trying to figure out where to start. My kindergarten lesson 1 also has over 18,000 views. If you are looking to give your child just a little exposure to music, then go ahead and find those YouTube videos that show those great performances or take them to live concerts. You could put background music on while you're doing other things. Or you might even want to do a unit on composers. There's lots of great videos and books that do a great job of telling the composers different stories. But if you really want to give your child a solid music education, let me give you an overview of what they should be learning. They should be learning the language of music. So let's talk about that language. Let's break down music into 5 elements: rhythm, melody, harmony, form, and expression. What do these exactly mean and how do we teach them? Let's go through them one by one. Let's start with rhythm. I went ahead and Googled definitions, and the first one was the arrangement of notes of different lengths, a pattern of sounds and silences that occur over time. Rhythm is the pattern of sound, silence, and emphasis in a song. Rhythmic pattern that is repeated throughout the music. I didn't know you could use the word in the definition. How do you teach that to children? That is what I love about teaching children. I get to break it down into terms even I can understand. Here's the deal. You can't teach rhythm until children understand steady beat. So you start teaching songs that children can move to the beat using what is called body percussion: stamp, pat, clap, or snap, or other sounds. After children understand steady beat, and only until then, can you introduce rhythm. But you introduce it through the songs or poems you used for steady beat. Let's take the poem Bee, Bee, Bumblebee. Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. The fact that this poem has a game to it makes it a true winner. But back to beat. Children will have used body percussion to show the beat many times. Then you introduce steady beat like this. Let's do it one more time. Ready, go. Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. Hey, did you know what we were patting? That's called the beat. That's right. We were patting the beat through the whole. Then, to move on to rhythm, we have the child clap to the words of the song or poem like this. Let's clap with the words this time. After many repetitions of clapping the words with different songs, you focus on the syllables they are clapping. Eventually, you will define rhythm as clapping with the words. Or as I say, rhythm goes with the words. Beat stays the same all through the song. It's very helpful if they use inner hearing when performing the rhythm, as it solidifies the difference between steady beat and rhythm. To teach more complicated rhythms, you use songs that have those rhythmic elements in them. Let's move on to melody. Here are some definitions. It's a collection of musical tones that are grouped together as a single entity. Or, melody is a combination of pitch and rhythm. I like that one better, and let me demonstrate why rhythm should be included in that definition. I'm going to sing a collection of pitches and see if you can guess what song I'm singing. La 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 la. Could you tell what song that was? Well, I wouldn't have been able to, but let me add rhythm this time and see if you can tell a little better. La 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 la. Do you know what song that is now? Did you guess Joy to the World? It was much easier to identify when I added the rhythm to the pitches, wasn't it? But we don't define melody to the children right off the bat. We start out teaching high and low notes and then melodic contour. I have quite a few videos that are labeled vocal explorations because they allow the child to explore highs and lows with their voices, and they don't even realize it. They just think they're having fun. Here's an example of a fun vocal exploration. Follow the fish with your voice. Ooh. So you can see that this exercise gives them the melodic contour of the notes going higher and lower, and not just warming up their voice. If you would like to use any of them, go to my YouTube channel, Splendor Productions, and you can find 15 of them. I'll put a link below as well as at the end of this video to the playlist. For kindergartners, most of the year is spent on high and low, then higher and lower, vocal explorations, as well as learning songs that they will need to know for first grade. What kind of songs? Well, our ultimate goal with Melody is to teach children how to read and write music. And we start with what is natural to children. Back to my childhood when we played outside in the neighborhood, children played a lot of chase games with their friends. It would be very common to hear a child sing, "Come and get me," or "Nanny, nanny, boo, boo, you can't get me." But just because children might not sing those these days doesn't mean it's not natural to them. So we start with 2-note songs, then 3-note songs. First, the child learns them very well. Game songs are a great way to get repetition out of them. Then to add kinesthetic learning, we add the body ladder. Then it's an easy transition to hand signs. Let me show you some examples of this. It's like Starlight, Star Bright. It just has 2 notes, a higher note and a lower note. So let's go ahead and put the higher note on our head and the lower note on our shoulders, okay? Here we go, seesaw, up and down, in the air and on the ground. Now this time, I want you to use the words high and low. We have special names for these 2 notes. The high note we call so. It's spelled S-O. And we have a hand sign for it that looks like a wall with your thumb on top. Can you make that wall with your hand? And your thumb is on top? Can you sing so? Try it. So. Very good. And the low note we call me. And it's spelled M-I. Okay? And the hand sign is like a floor. Your hand is flat like a floor. Me. Can you sing me? That's right. So I'll show you how to sequence so's and me's into writing on the staff in the next video. And the same as in rhythm, to get more notes introduced, you teach songs that have those notes in them. Let's move on to harmony. That's the combination of simultaneously sounded musical notes to produce chords and chord progressions, having a pleasing effect. If I told that to a first grader, they'd look at me like I had horns sticking out of my head. But let's move on. When 2 or more pitches are combined, I like that. Number 3, it's a pleasing combination and progression of chords. Okay, let's go back to the second one. When 2 or more pitches are combined. That's much easier to work with, although I like the pleasing combination part. And now let's go back to kindergarten. Remember when we were teaching steady beat? You can have your child experience harmony by having them play something called a simple bordun on a barred instrument like a glockenspiel. All they do is play 2 notes on the instrument at the same time to the steady beat, like this. Just like this. And we're just going to gently bounce on 2 notes, D and A. D and A, like this. See that? Will you sing with me? Snail, 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 go around and round and round again. Then later in the year, after beat and rhythm are introduced and your child is very solid on both, one of you plays the beat and the other plays the rhythm. I call it beat versus rhythm. That is the beginning of 2-part harmony. Let's move on to form, our second to last element. One definition says it refers to the structure and organization of a musical composition, or how the various parts of a song or piece are organized. Well, how do we teach that to children? If you are using songs, it's not that hard. First, we take a song that is well learned. Then I tell the children that songs have musical ideas, kind of like sentences in a book. I sing the song and show something called a motive using what I call a rainbow arm. I have the children copy me. We do this several times, still only using the term musical idea. Let's go ahead and show those musical ideas by using your arm and just making a rainbow. Can you do that? Let's try the first one, but let's sing the words. Bobby Shafto's gone to sea. That's the first idea. Here's the next one. Silver buckles on his knee. Oh, here's the third one. He'll come back to marry me. There's the third one. And the last one. Bonnie Bobby Shafto. So Bobby Shafto has 4 musical ideas in its song, right? Okay, so what are the rhyming words? I'll ask, how many musical ideas did this song have? Sometimes I'll compare it to another song. This only had 2 musical ideas and our last song had 4. Then I'll label those as motives because those are shorter than phrase. Most teaching songs in kindergarten have motives, not phrases, so I don't have to worry about it. If it did have phrases in it, I wouldn't use that song for teaching form. The kindergartners can still learn the song, I just wouldn't focus on form, and I could use that song when they're 2nd or 3rd grade to teach phrase. Our last element is expression, and it has 3 parts: dynamics, tempo, and timbre. Let's stick to kindergarten. Now, I don't define any of these words in kindergarten, but I do have them experience them and label them in subcategories. Let's dive a little deeper. Dynamics in music, that's just how loud or soft the music is. Sounds easy, right? Well, there are a lot of Italian words that are used, so that elevates the difficulty a bit, but not too much. Let them experience it first, then define it. In kindergarten, I just keep it to soft or quiet and loud. This concept is probably the easiest one to teach, although many children confuse high and low with soft and loud. Turn that music down! Turn the music up! So that's how that comes into play. If you have a piano at home, be sure to play loud notes on both ends of the piano so they don't associate low notes as loud. The strings are larger and longer on the low end, so it's easy to play those notes louder and the high notes softer. Just be cognizant of that. I don't introduce the Italian words until 1st grade. Forte is the word for loud, and piano is the one for soft. But you have to reinforce it in other lessons. If you just tell them once, they'll easily forget it. Tempo is the next area. That's the speed of the song or music. In kindergarten, we just focus on fast and slow. I wait until later in the year to define allegro, fast, and largo, slow. You can find recordings of fast songs and slow songs, and it's always great when you get one that has both. I use Ring Around the Rosie throughout my courses to practice fast and slow. But be ready for a very excited kid when they do it fast and end up in a heap on the floor with lots of giggles. Timbre is the 3rd one I want to cover today. It's a unique quality of sound that a certain instrument or voice has. Again, I won't be introducing timbre in kindergarten or even through 3rd grade, but we will discuss adult voices versus children's voices. You can also introduce different sounds instruments make, or even objects around the house. I like to introduce 4 families in the percussion group. Wood family like rhythm sticks, metal family like the triangle, shaker, scraper family like the maracas, and the drum family. Your child will experience all different sounds of timbre, but it's not that important that they know the word at this point unless you want to teach it. Now you know the 5 elements of music: rhythm, melody, harmony, form, and expression. Don't worry, there won't be a test. I know I gave you a whole ton of information, but you can go ahead and watch this video as many times as you need to, or you can download the transcript, print that out if you'd like. I'll put the link down below. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to sequence all these elements so that it makes sense to your child and not just that buffet style of picking and choosing that I talked about earlier. You will know how to give your child a great foundation so that they can grow and grow in knowledge, creativity, and self-confidence through music. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below and answer one of these two questions. Are you currently using any of these techniques that I talked about in the video, like padding the steady beat or clapping with the words or rhythm? Or have you ever had your child use a silly voice to show melodic contour or just to explore the vocal range? I'll be reading your comments and I will jump on in to answer any of your questions. And check for your email so you can be sure to watch that next video on sequencing to see how it all comes about. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to read your comments.